Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kenny Conversation, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high performance aftermarket car parts. Remember to go to jegs.com for everything you need for your vehicles. This next guest is a dear friend of mine. I love him so much. We talk, we get along. I have a picture of him sitting in my dirt modified. Actually, we're going to have Charlie Marlowe drop that right now. There you are. The legendary, the two-time Chili Bowl champ, Rico Abreu. How you doing?
I'm good, Herm. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Oh, I love that smile. So, as the song goes, it's the holiday season. So, where are you at?
I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska for the week with Megan and her family. We're doing Thanksgiving here. I got a busy month coming up, so we're scheduling everything out. So I'm spending some time here with her family, and then headed home for a week, and then back to the PRI show, and then straight to Australia from there. So we got some busy days coming.
But it's exciting, right? I mean,
Very
all this
exciting.
racing.
Yeah, very exciting. I think the biggest thing is, you just stay healthy through all this movement, and especially traveling across the country here. And when we get to Australia, I sent a car in August, so I'm super excited to take my team over there. Ricky's not coming with us, but I'm gonna be on the phone with him every day, just trying to figure out how to go racing his way a little bit. And I got some close friends coming with me, so it's gonna be a fun trip.
So how do you go about sending a race car, all your equipment? How do you send that over there?
We sent it in a container and it left in August. Like right after the Knoxville Nationals, we went home and loaded this container up in Muncie, Indiana. And we split some of the space, the square footage with Luch Monty, who's Monty Farms over in Australia. That is him and a couple other gentlemen are essentially bringing us to race over there. So it's exciting to be a part of something like that. I went to Australia in 2017 with Keith Coons, and then I went with Paul Silva and Trevor Canales in 2012. So it's been over 10 years for me to be there in a sprint car. And when I went in 2012, I literally crashed every time I was on the racetrack. So I kind of put those memories behind me. But we had a great time and lots of cool opportunities over there.
So Rico, there is so much to talk about with you. As I always tease to everybody, and everybody always sees this and I act like I'm Larry McReynolds. I got my notes. I did my studying on Rico, but I didn't really have to do much on you because I know you. I know you so well. You are an incredible talent. You are a great race car driver. You're not good. There's a difference between good and great, and you are a great race car driver. But I believe this year, 2023, watching you, I watched all your wins. Has this been your best year in racing in your life?
Most consistent year, and definitely over a big picture. Yes, it has been a career season, and I put all that back to my team. From the bottom to where we've gotten it, and Ricky Warner being such a big asset to our team and educating me as a race car driver, and just where I've really allowed my team to do their role and not micromanaged everything, and like I feel like I have in the past. So Ricky's, like I said, been a huge asset and brought a huge level of experience to racing for me, and allowed me to really focus on showcasing this talent that I have as a race car driver. I love racing. I love being out on the racetrack. It's where I find my peace in life. And you know how it is, Herm. And it's just it's a pleasure to get to do all this stuff. And I turned 31 years old this year, and so I feel like I've matured as a person a lot too. And it goes back to being around great people.
I find this fascinating because unlike I know your family is ultra successful. We will talk about that later. But I think you and I are a lot the same. Sometimes early in my life, I felt like that if I didn't have my hands on it and I didn't do it, that I was not going to run good. Then Steve Bird, 1991, Birdie became my crew chief, and I won 3 Xfinity races and I got to going. So are you saying that you backed out of the race car hands-on a little bit, and that's why you think you're so good this year?
Um, I think some of it, I think I got spread thin there for a while and trying to manage every piece of my race team. And I was driving the hauler to the races and working
Did
on
you
the
want
car
to?
at the races. I just enjoyed getting to kind of do every little role. And, I know it took away from my craft in driving and my focus on, getting better as a physical race car driver. So, establishing a great team and a loyal team and growing towards consistency, I think, and I've really focused on consistent in qualifying and being consistent in heat races, and then putting ourselves in positions at the end of the 8 mains, and that's where you've really seen this package get better. And when you do that, you put yourself in position the last 10 laps of the races, and then you're in the hunt to win.
I really like this because, I've been through this. I can relate. You're saying you're better this year, and when you look back on it, you think you know why. And sometimes when we talk to racers, they're like, "Hell, I don't know what I'm doing. We're doing the same of everything." But um, I think all of us racers can learn from something like you're saying right now. So, Rico, I feel like I want to call an audible right now. I want to remind everybody about you, and that's what Kenny Conversation is. So, Rico Abreu, 31 years old, as you said, from is that Helena, California?
St. Helena.
Oh, I love that. It's a beautiful name. Two-time Chili Bowl winner, 2015, 2016. 2014 USAC National Midget Series champion. 2014 Belleville Midget Nationals champion. Now come the big boys. 2013, 2016, 2 times. You are a 4-Crown Nationals midget winner at Eldora. Now that is badass. Man, that's hard to do. 2021, 4-Crown Nationals winged sprint car winner. And this is something we will talk about. You've got a win in the K&N Pro Series, an East win.
At Columbus Motor Speedway.
Yes. And listen, we can go on and on. We know that. When I say all that to you, where does your brain go? What do you think about?
I think about the people that helped me get to that point in my career. From Keith Coons with all the success, racing USAC midgets, and Paul Silva and Ricky Warner, and a couple others that were huge assets to in the Kading family, to my sprint car career. And then you look back to, when I was really progressing rapidly, like 2014, 15, and 16. And I started to follow that path, with how inspiring Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell became in the dirt world. Everybody kind of wanted to follow that dream of getting to the Cup Series and being a NASCAR Cup driver. And, and my impressions of it were, I wanted to I wasn't mature enough at the time, to looking back now, but I wanted to get to the Cup Series through the direction that Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell traveled, from Keith Coons to stock cars to late models, stock cars to the Truck Series to Xfinity to Cup. And I wanted to make that investment worthy to return that to, if it was my family that was investing in some of that, or to our partners or to these teams. And I got to Harry Scott's and Justin Marks's East program, which was an unbelievable program. And I was surrounded by some amazing people. Marty Lindley, amazing short track crew chief, now in the Xfinity Series racing for championships. And, and I look back and I wish I would have done each of those platforms twice in 2 years, and I felt like I was so new to racing in each series that I was behind the eight ball every time, just on my development. And you see Christopher and Kyle developed a little bit faster, and they picked up on things quicker than than myself did at the time. But now I've really stuck to sprint car racing over the last decade here, and it's really helped my craft as a race car driver and my maturity as a race car driver. And I see it as I've been a late bloomer in these series, and and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's a great vision to work towards myself, and to know that like there's still not the direction of stock car racing, but in the world of outlaw and sprint car industry, like I still have um, you know a desire here to 100% to be all committed to being a champion at this as a race car driver.
I want to comment on this because this is a conversation. It's not so much I'm interviewing you. I wanted, and I have been on my knees before, looking up at the good Lord God and saying, God, why did you not give me the talent that Jeff Gordon has? So I think we all go through life. When you look at Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell, uh, I've been there. I've thought like you have thought, but I like what you're saying. You've matured, is what you're saying. Are you at peace with yourself right now? Because I mean, I feel like you're as good as you've ever been.
I'm 100% at peace, and I'm super happy. I'm surrounded by some amazing people in my sprint car team, and our digital marketing team that we've created here, and our partners that believe in my ability as a race car driver, and my fiance Megan and my dog Gus, and I feel like everything is in place to just keep climbing forward. And I'm in love with sprint car racing. I'm in love with racing in general and following
Me too.
just everything going on. And our sport has climbed so much over the last decade, and there's so much potential to it, and it's an amazing time to be a part of sprint car racing right now, and just dirt track racing and grassroots racing in general. And this is definitely the stepping stones to stock car racing for any young kid that wants to get involved in racing. If you're from being a mechanic to a crew chief to a race car driver, this is where it all starts.
There's two things on my mind because I'm listening to you very intently. I hear you talking about, that K&N East, the number 31 car, I believe. Was that your number back then?
It was 98, number
98.
98.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you have unfinished business in NASCAR?
Not at all.
Good.
I've had closure with it for a few years. The end there was tough, but I had a lot going on, and I was wanting to race my sprint car and race with Keith Coons, and try to race in the truck series full time, and get some late model experience, which I did some stuff with David Gillen during that pace, and it really sped up my learning curve in stock car racing, just getting one-on-one and getting laps on track. So I just, if I were to do it all over again, I would do each series twice and then make the jump, just so you get that experience and you get locked in with a great team. And I think the what I've understood about stock car racing is it's so generated around people and team, and financial, to push this through quickly. And you look at, gentlemen and ladies that have developed extremely fast through that series, and it is inspiring to see that. And people, it just shows that their learning curves are all different. You see how quickly Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell went through, and now you see Toyota really and Ford really pushing the youth of the female drivers, and which is really really cool to see. So from the outside looking in, you like to see all that stuff, and it generates success in that industry. It generates viewership, and it's just cool to be a part of.
So let's call an audible. Let's just stay right where you're talking about. I had this down my list. So we have uh, seen earth-shaking movement in the world of outlaw sprint cars and the wing sprint cars. So we don't want it to be like this, but it seems like it's going that way. We've got the High Limit Series owned by Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson. And we have the World of Outlaws. Legendary name. Logan Schuchart has said, I'm staying with the World of Outlaws. Brad is going over there. So, you know, when I look at this, I'm like, okay, we're healthy because we got 2 series. And when I look at the World of Outlaw late models and Lucas Oil late models, I feel like there's always room for 2 series. I feel like that. Give me your thought. What are you going to do next year? What's your opinion on the new high limit series?
Now, these are great questions, and I think it's important that this stuff is discussed. And it's I praise Brad and Kyle and Flo for what they've created here in the sprint car world. We need it. I love competition. From these broadcasting venues, Flo and Dirt Vision, and all it does is create growth. Really, I've my whole career, besides I competed for in 13 and 14 for national USAC midget championship, where I legit raced, my 3rd year ever racing as a full-time as a race car driver. I competed with Keith Coons, the 35 race schedule or 40 race schedule. And in 14, we won the championship together, where I was in like a points race mode. But my whole career, I've never competed for a title or a championship, and never received any of the benefits of the championship funding and the tow packages that get created in these series. So I've never depended on that, and I've just kind of been branded by this true outlaw racer, where we just went and raced for the money. From when I started with Kading Performance to Paul Silva, 5 years, to exchanging interactions with different team members, to racing on my own, to now having Ricky Warner. We've just kind of lived this true outlaw schedule. And going back to these series is you see this competition now, and it just raises the bar on both sides. And each series needs those branded drivers, and that draw those crowds to when you get to certain races that don't generate a big fan base. And you've seen that with the high limit weekday series is Kyle generates big crowds to these races, and how healthy it is for sprint car racing. It's just so cool to sit back and see that, you see the fans packed, the stands packed, and then you see the money that's being generated into this sport now with this pay-per-view stuff, or from Dirt Vision or from Flow. And you understand that, like, it's really healthy right now for sprint car racing, and for us to go race for a good amount of money just to show up and race. And you're racing for anywhere from 10, 12, 25, 50, 100,000. You see these races at Huset's now. And then I sit back and think, like, where was that money a few years ago? And so a lot of it is, this pay-per-view stuff and them putting back into the sport. And you want to see that. That's what we're all here to see is return in investments.
I like that you, like all of us back in the NASCAR days, we admitted that Dale Earnhardt Sr. was the man. I've heard the name Kyle Larson come out of your voice quite a lot. Brad Sweet, too, obviously, is his brother-in-law. Has everyone in open wheel accepted that Kyle Larson is a God-given talent? Because we did. We accepted Jeff Gordon. We accepted Dale Sr. All of us drivers are like, man, that guy's got a gift from God. Do all the open wheel drivers accept that Kyle's great, or are some people jealous?
I think you'll always see jealousy in drivers and teams and fans. And that's just a product of humanity. Is people don't like to see people be successful, and they like to see people at their level if they're at a lower level. But I think it's amazing to just be in this generation of racing and to see a talent like Kyle go through the sport. And what's also great is you have a guy like Kyle that raises the bar in the industry, and it allows makes everybody work harder to beat that competition. And it's extremely satisfying to me, the races that we do beat him straight up or beat any driver straight up. And that's my ultimate goal, is to work harder than everybody else at this, on the branding side, on the personality side, and on the racing side, and have this amazing package at Rico Abreu Racing and myself, my brand, to bring it to the table to when we do show up at these races. Is we're doing the marketing better than them, we're racing better than them, and our personality is better than them. And that's just how I look at it. And I want to check all those off when I'm sitting on my couch watching races at the end of my career.
So we watched. We'll wrap this up. This moment here, we watched Steve Kinzer, Doug Wolfgang, Slammin' Sammy Swindell. We watched those nicknames come along, the world of Outlaws, and here we are, 2023, and it sounds to me, and what I read is 2024 is going to be this second infusion, this second phase, this second big change in life for the winged sprint cars. Do you think that 2024 is going to be a generational change, like one of the biggest changes in sprint car history? With, it sounds to me like High Limit's going to be like a World of Outlaw deal. It's going to be big.
It is. There's going to be a big momentum behind High Limit, and that's going to create big momentum behind the World of Outlaws too, because you're going to create this rivalry now, and what direction people go, and what direction teams go, and who's going to pay more money at each race. And you're going to get the fans involved in it. You're going to get the drivers involved and the team members involved. And I think it's amazing for the sport. And I'm all about it. I'm all about the hype. And I just want to go racing at the end of the day and go make money.
Rico, thank you for discussing a difficult subject. I think we did good. I don't think we're going to get in trouble. We had to rough Brad up early in the year, and he stuck with it. He's a 5-time
Brad's doing an amazing job, and it's he's a great friend of mine, and and he's I really look up to his driving style and his mannerism and his respect out on the racetrack, and his respect across sprint car racing and what he's created here. And ultimately, this is his vision that he's pushing through, and he's breaking boundaries, and you like to see that, and you gain lots of respect for somebody like that. And and ultimately it's Brad is the front of this thing, and it's really cool to see.
Are you going to run the full High Limit series?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'd love racing. I love sprint car racing. I'm gonna go what makes sense to races that makes sense to me, in my team. And it's important that this brand of this true outlaw schedule. And I think it's I'll go to a High Limit race, and I'll go to a World of Outlaw race, and I'll go to a local race one day if it suits our schedule.
Thinking about that right now, are you driving for Keith Coons at the Chili Bowl this year with $20,000 on the line?
I'm going to be in Australia on that Saturday, the 13th. So unfortunately this year I'm changing it up a little bit. I did the Chili Bowl 13 years in a row. And I think it's important for my brand to get over to Australia, and I'm going to spend 30 days over there.
Wow.
And I want to spend lots of time with the race fans at the races and just kind of enjoy the trip. And I am, it's a good for change of pace sometimes, in this lifestyle that we all live. And I've dedicated, I'll always be a fan of the Chili Bowl. I've dedicated 13 years of, that week long experience there, which is an amazing event. And there's, it's had so much growth over the years. And I just, this year I'm changing it up a little.
Well, that's very emotional for me. I know as a child, I know what the Chili Bowl meant for all of you. Watching all of you get older and get mature, Kyle Larson's, yourself, Seabell, Chili Bowl. I'm sure you'll be back there one day. So let's have a little fun, Rico. Let's lighten it up a little bit. So I'm a big fan of yours, so I follow you on all social. I will give you my first. When this goes to you for being the greatest souvenir salesman of all time. This goes to you.
Thank you.
I see Gus, your loyal, loving dog. I see that you're going to put a sticker of Gus in some of the bags when people buy a hat or a shirt. Yeah. Sticker of Gus. Tell me about your souvenir. It says everybody started copying you. You bought a fan. Tell me about souvenirs.
I see a little bit of it, which is good. I think that's great for the sport, to see things like that. I just take a lot of pride in it, and my ultimate goal is to fund my racing through merchandising, and where it relieves a sponsor like my family, and they're able to go invest that budget somewhere else. So it's just, I look at merchandising as a form of interaction with fans, and fans having that passion to buy items from race car drivers and support those race car drivers. And it's important for me to be really personal about it, and get creative in how you advertise things. And we brought Gus, and Megan and I brought Gus into our lives, and we've built this platform now through our social media outlets that Gus is, this famous racetrack dog now that everybody is comes to see and say hello. And he blows my mind at times, just with his personality and how generous he is to the fans, and he doesn't ever get really tired or wore out by the fans. And he just loves to sit up on the trailer and get petted, and and just stay there and chill. And it's really comforting to the race fans to approach an animal like that. And I try to put myself in that same category as a very approachable person, that you break that boundary and that barrier of comfort. And and that's what essentially race results and personality is what sells merchandise. And I try to be the best in both.
Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Because here's why. Because I have Louie and Lucy, and I love them, and they're comfortable. They're cold. You hold them. So basically, you're saying you have some fans that come to your souvenir trailer just to see Gus, because they love dogs.
They do, and they have there's a connection there between the dog and the fan, and it's not even through me, and they might not even be fans of me, and they're coming up to see Gus. And
that's awesome.
It's a comforting zone. It's comfort zone.
While we're talking about Gus, let's keep having fun. On your Instagram, we see, and now I get to finally address it with everybody. We see the legendary little dirt track. I guess that's on your family property. You had the look like a Crown Victoria. Maybe it was newer. Tell me about this legend. Now, is this where you learned how to race? You made a racetrack?
Yeah. So my father and Rich Stadelhofer, a business partner of his, built this racetrack. Once I got through, I'll speed the story up, but once I got through middle school into high school, I really couldn't play sports anymore physically. I was just, it just didn't work for me. So I wrestled all through middle school and played Little League and did all the sports through elementary and middle school. And then high school, I went to wrestling, and to maintain that physical just aggression that I always had, and competitiveness. And I still weighed like 80 pounds, and I was supposed to be wrestling 103s was the lightest weight class in high school. So, I went and did, all the gym stuff with the team, and then went to our first meet. And this kid was 6 foot, 103 pounds, and was, I was 3.5 foot, still waiting to hit my growing spurt. So I kind of moved on through sports and found this connection with our neighbors that raced. The Griffin family in St. Helena locally still have involvement in racing and following my career. And, they brought me to some go-kart races, and we convinced my father that I could get into a go-kart, and they could physically fit me in there where I was comfortable. And we built a go-kart track at our house, and Rich Stadelhofer and my father got all their team together and built this amazing track. And I would just go out there and run laps every weekend, and sometimes during the week after school, and just burn as many laps as I could. And that's what got me up to speed so quickly. And we got to test setup stuff with two of the mechanics that worked for the company that maintenance and maintained all of the equipment. They, on their off time, they would work on the go-karts with me. And that's what really sped up my learning curve is I just got thousands of laps by myself, and we put fuel back in and change a little tire pressure, make some adjustments, and then go right back out there. And then we started inviting people in the racing industry over to race. And then I started competing full time, and I was racing 3 classes a night, twice a weekend. So 6 main events, and for like a 30 race schedule at Cycleland Speedway. And then we'd go to Lakeport on Sundays on the way home, and I just got lots of laps. And the Kading family came to us and said that Brant Kading said he could modify a sprint car. And I was 18 years old, getting into a sprint car.
Well, I love watching that little racetrack grow. I think one day as we grow older, there's going to be a plaque, a gold plaque, and it's going to say that, where Rico Abreu started. Now, one thing I do see, and I'm not sure. I mean, we have done some talking before. Are you and Kyle Larson childhood friends? I saw Kyle racing there with you, and you guys just doing death-defying moves, putting the right rear, running up on the boards because you have a wall. It's like you guys said, okay, we're not going to run the bottom of my track we built. We're on purpose going to try to just run this wall here. Tell me about you and Kyle at that track.
Yeah, I think I was 16 or 17 years old when I met Kyle. They were racing at Calistoga Speedway for Dave Vertullo, and we were running some go-kart stuff. He just got out of the go-karts and was getting full-time into sprint cars when I was getting into go-kart racing. And so his family came up to an event we had where we invited some friends to race their go-karts, and that's really where the introduction was made. And and it just, the relationship grew from there, and where I was able to just graduated out of high school and was able to kind of follow his career with him. And my father and Rich Stadelhofer started sponsoring him full time, and he got into one of the sprint car teams my father owned, where he was able to race a lot more. And and not just in California, but in the Midwest. So he was running races in California and the Midwest. And, that's when Keith Coons picked Kyle up, and I just got into sprint car racing at that time. And I was, that path was definitely to race sprint cars and midgets for Keith Coons. And Keith Coons' program, his development program, really accelerated with, my father's investment there, and a massive investment from Toyota Racing on developing their engine. And we were just really getting into the program at that time. And the relationship with Kyle and I really grew just those years of, we spent a lot of time together.
So I like that you tell that story, because I had this as one of my last conversations with you. For a heartfelt person like me, we love people. We can be mean when we have to be mean. But I have seen some of your posts, how much you love your family. One about a week or two ago, how you made a nice post about, I believe, your brother. You love him. You said you wanted to thank him or some family member
Mhm.
about how they carry on Abrew Vineyards. And tell me about this Abrew Vineyards and what it's all about, and your love, your respect for your father and your family.
Yeah, lots of respect. As I've grown older, you start to educate yourself on business practices and understanding family history, and and you see the change in generations and family history, and you see things go good and go bad. For families that have businesses and structures of inheritance, and so it's really, I've really been able to see what my father's created in the wine industry, and Napa Valley, on from the vineyard management side of the business, where he maintains clients' ranches for them, that have passion in the wine industry. And then on the other side of it, there's a business of winemaking, and my father, being a viticulturist his whole life, from came from cattle farming to now this amazing viticulturist that has this vision in the Napa Valley, which is the heart of viticulture and wine industry, and it's where the farming takes place, and it's the most beautiful part of the country. I feel, getting to travel a lot, so it's just amazing to see what he's created, and to be a part of it. And I'm out here kind of racing and living this this vision of life that not everybody gets to experience, and you see kind of these things that go on back at home, and the passion from my brother and sister and father for in the wine industry, and my mother. And it just becomes inspiring, and because it has nothing to do with racing, and I'm lucky enough to kind of sit back and watch this thing build and have momentum. And you see how heavily involved family members become, and it's just cool for me to see.
You said that so wonderfully with love, passion. Following up in that same situation, I'm thinking of Brendan Gaughan, the great race car driver. Raced his whole life, got up in age, and said, okay, I'm going home. I'm going to run South Point Casino. Okay. So when you get up in age, I don't want you to become one of those dirt daubers. And I know you won't. I know you won't. Uh, we see a lot of dirt daubers, and this is a nickname I give them, where they forget when what are they going to do? Because we know racing's not real. We know it's a sport. Uh, do you see yourself one day, this phrase I'm making up, or going home to help run the family business like a Brendan Gaughan?
I see myself learning or gathering all of the experience and knowledge that I have in racing, and bringing that to and the marketing values, and bringing that to a business like what my father's created. And my father's very craftedly structured his vineyard management business to be the best vineyard management business in the Napa Valley, and he's put someone in place to be the best winemaker in the world,
Right.
and articulate these great, amazing wines around this brand of each property that he's fallen in love with and owns. And I see myself bringing you know the marketing level of things there to where you present this story to people, and you present it through a really organic personality like mine, and
Yeah.
that's where I kind of see my place there. My time's not ready yet, because I still have major accomplishments I want in the racing industry, as I'm only 31 years old,
You're
and
still a baby.
I I want to be, I want to build this legacy of this successful race car driver, owner, and so I build those posts, and because I see the passion that my family has internally, and I see that they understand kind of my direction and my placement there, and that's it. And I don't have this ego of want to come in and say this is mine, or you get this, and you see families like that, and it all disrupts everything that's flowing. And so I've been able to sit back and kind of just watch things, and it's a process.
I think it's wonderful. If you don't mind, I'd like to I'm a little intrigued. I'm going to say it in my most redneck way, my dirt racing way, and we're dealing with dirt. Is it to my understanding that your father is one of the smartest people in the world with soil and building a vineyard? Is that one of his services?
That is his service. He will develop your ranch for you, and he has a great vision on layout, and he has a strong group of employees behind him that help him with that vision. And he's very he's a very loyal person. He's very passionate for vineyard managing, and and building these beautiful pieces of property that become art for somebody, and it's a piece of art for a client that they come home that's what they come home to. And he's a very extremely smart and knowledgeable person when it comes to really anything, and he's been a huge help to where I've gotten to in my life and my career, as this platform that I've built as a race car driver and owner and salesman.
It's a wonderful thing to hear how much you love your family. It's a wonderful thing to hear that you and I know our spot. You and I are the same. We're both entertainers. We both go get money. We both develop money. I'm thankful to my dad every day. And Rico, I love you. You're one of the greatest race car drivers. You're still very young, but you've accomplished a lot. At this time, I want to tell all the fans that remember, we are in podcast form. We are on Spotify. We're on iTunes, and you can listen to Rico on the way to work. And then you can continue to listen to the great Rico Abreu on your way home. Rico, so much to do. We know you're a hardcore racer. We know you're very young. We know you got a lot to do, but it's fun to look in the past, look in the future. Thank you so much for being on Kenny Conversation.
Thanks, Herm.
All right, everybody. Remember, Kenny Conversation just keeps on rolling. We've got the greats ahead of us. We had Ricky Carmichael, Dale Jr. We've been breaking records because all of you. We love you. And until next time, Kenny Conversation just keeps on rolling.